the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life shall never be passed on spread, outrageously using Gewalt, nor through lying and nor through slander calumny, because as a teaching from the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, it is a teaching of love, peace, freedom and consonance harmony, from which neither outrage act of Gewalt, bloody deed murder, persecution, battle war, nor strife can be allowed to emanate, but only permanent well-protectedness and all values of goodness. Truly, living in well-protectedness in the love of the fertilization of life creation, is the highest good that can accrue to people of your kind human beings, and in which you can well live forever as a magnificent reward if you are only fruitful bearing of your sagacity rationality, and you recognize and follow the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation through your insight intellect. If you are undisguised sincere and strong in the knowledge about the truth, then it is also possible for you to keep your sisters, brothers and your father and your mother without fault, without virtuousness, in honor and dignity, even if they prefer a belief assumptions, in gods or tin gods to the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life, because they are the ones who are knowing of the truth. Therefore you are not unfair ones, irresponsible ones, if you have them as friends and love and honor and appreciate them, because they belong to your blood. Therefore you are not unfair ones, irresponsible ones, either if you have acquaintances and friends, man and woman, and they prefer a belief assumptions, in gods and tin gods, but you are however undisguised sincere, and strong in the knowledge about the truth, so that you do not become inconstant in it. And if your father and your mother, your brothers, your sisters, your wife or husband or your clan relations, or people of your kind fellow human beings, have fallen prey to gods and tin gods, then you shall not make them your enemies because of this, rather esteem, honor and value them highly, because, whichever way you look at it, they are people of your kind human beings, who are due entitled to honor and dignity which you shall show them. And if they prize their riches and their commerce and their dwellings more highly, more valuably, than the truth about the fertilization of life creation, and the recognition and fulfillment of the laws and recommendations of itself and its appearance nature, then love and honor and appreciate them nevertheless as people of your kind human beings, because they have proceeded from the primal creative unchangeability's principles, as you have, so you are one and the same kind, without difference, with the same rights and obligations, duties, with regard to the fulfillment of your existence, life, and the unfolding evolution of your inner world consciousness. Truly, if you wage battles, wars, then there is no God and no tin gods who lead you on the field of war, because they are only hazy pictures, fantasies, of godly religious zealots, fanatics, who want to make you proud of them. Everything godly religious observances is useless because fabulated, invented forms such as godheads and tin gods possess neither power nor ability to effect anything. Therefore, if you wage battles, wars, then they can neither help you to victory nor to flight. Truly, it is determined, through the laws and recommendations of the fertilization of life creation, that peace and love, as well as freedom and consonance harmony, shall rule amongst people of your kind human beings. Therefore you shall follow them in order to receive a good reward. Therefore it is also recommended to you that you also turn to those people of your kind fellow human beings, in goodwill respect, who are knowing in the truth and need your instruction and help. Consider, however, that the servants of gods and servants of tin gods who are unclean without knowledge, in the knowledge of the truth, do everything to keep their believers in their gods and tin gods away from the real truth of the reality of the fertilization of life creation, and the laws and recommendations of itself and of its appearance nature. Therefore they attempt to ensure that those who are looking for the real truth of the fertilization of life creation cannot approach the truth, by besetting their believers with apprehensions, anxieties, and fear, of punishment from their gods and tin gods if they leave the belief assumptions in them, whilst promising them at the same time a liberation from punishment as well as a fullness abundance of love, blissful happiness as well as richness and consciousness and well-being if they stay with their belief assumptions. Fight in yourselves against the enticements of the servants of gods and servants of tin gods, and against all those who have the audacity to slander, calumniate, and call into question the truth of the fertilization of life and the laws and recommendations of itself and of its appearance nature, and be certain, knowing that their actions are illicit, forbidden, and heinous, villainous, for the sake of right and equitableness, fairness, because by doing so they lead people of your kind, human beings, into shameful misunderstanding, far from any cognition of the real truth of the laws and recommendations of the fertilization of life creation. They do not follow the real truth, and they will only do so when they have to pay tribute from their own inner world consciousness for the acknowledging of the real truth, when they become knowing, conscious of it. What the servants of gods and servants of tin gods are speaking about and fallaciously teaching is not the word of the truth, but only the word from their mouths, which they think up through their thoughts and their inner world consciousness, and therefore they only imitate the speeches of those who were already ones and knowing of the truth before them, and who are of the same kind in their zealotry, fanaticism, which weighs banfully on them because they are misled. The servants of gods and servants of tin gods had taken the old scribes and false prophets as their masters' examples, who extensively falsified the real truth of the fertilization of life creation, and its laws and recommendations, and made it unrecognizable, and they also lied that the true prophets were gods and children of gods, or their representatives, substitutes, or heralds of evil devils, and like the old servants of gods and servants of tin gods, the old scribes and false prophets demanded, also your servants of gods and servants of tin gods and those knowledgeable in godly religious writings, command, that you must join their belief assumptions, and pray up to their gods and tin gods, or to the evil devil, and supposedly venerable ones, holy ones, and that you shall not place the real truth of the fertilization of life creation, nor its laws and recommendations next to these. The servants of gods and servants of tin gods would very much like the light of the truth of the fertilization of life creation to be extinguished by the words coming from their mouth, but they are unable to do this over time, because the light of the truth is perfect and will illuminate the world in its time, even though those unknowing of the truth and the servants of gods and servants of tin gods may dislike it. And the real truth is that given to the true prophets, so that they may guide the leadership of the truthful teaching of the truth and bring their cognition of the truth to you, in order that it may prevail in you and liberate you from all the false avowals in gods and tin gods, in servants of gods and servants of tin gods, and in god-line cis-religions, and sub-godlinesses, sex cults. Be knowing, conscious, that many of the servants of gods and servants of tin gods and their godlinesses, religions, and sub-godlinesses, sex cults, seize your goods and your riches and consume them through false means of belief assumptions, and so they attempt to alienate, dissuade you from the path of the truth with regard to the fertilization of life creation, and of its laws and recommendations, and truly many amongst them heap up gold and silver by enriching themselves from you. And they clothe themselves in expensive garments and have valuable coverings, hats, on their head, decorated with gold and silver and precious stones, and also they wear much valuable jewelry which they gain from your riches by exploiting you, and through their garments and their covering hats, and through their jewelry they blame you for your foolishness for giving them, as a result of your belief in gods and belief in tin gods, the things which you laboriously heap up, save for yourselves to live on in old age.